Welcome. The door is open. New and returning visitors, come on in and sit a spell. We're here at Flannel Jammy's farm. I am Donna Ray, and this is FlossTube number 24, a very tardy Stich-Con chat. So 2 weeks ago, Mr. Flannel Jammy's farm, Tom, and precious little Scarlett and I were in Sharonville, Ohio, outside of Cincinnati, and we were at Stich-Con, a gathering of close to 400 stitchers and lovers of needlework. It was amazing. I just want to chat with you about that today. We'll do another video very, very soon, which will be a catch-up on my stitching, but I wanted to talk to you about some things that were my observations at Stich-Con and some gifts that I received and some people that I met and all the fun. I know you've seen lots and lots of videos and photos about Stich-Con, and you probably are thinking, I don't need to see yours, Donna Ray. I've seen everyone else's. I wouldn't blame you. I'm going to try not to repeat everything that everyone else has said, and hopefully you'll stick around and watch the video. Let's chat about Stich-Con. So I have 3 takeaways right away about the Stich-Con event. Number 1, Barbara of Keepsakes and her amazing crew know how to throw a spectacular event. Her crew was attentive and kind and smiles all the time and helpful, and they thought about everything you needed before you even thought you might need it. It was amazing, especially considering that they were planning for 4 times the number of people that they had last year, that they were in a different venue altogether, and that they had new things they were rolling out to us. Pretty amazing, and job well done, Barbara and Keepsakes crew. I want to especially thank Barbara and her family, because they were all involved in one fashion or another, and they were all absolutely wonderful to the stitchers present. And so thank you very much. I want to thank Pam and Steph for the time that they put in, for their greeting, for their mingling, for their listening ears when people brought up ideas or suggestions. You guys are great. I also want to thank you for bringing the famous finishing bell, so that those that finished something at Stich-Con got to ring the bell and get a round of applause. So thank you, Pam and Steph. I want to thank Nicole, Buckeye Stitcher #1, for giving me a hug and taking a photo with me. Tom is in the background giving you a great big thumbs up, Nicole. Nicole was really helpful. We had decided that we were going to take a couple of field trips during Stich-Con to different breweries in the area to have lunch and to have dinner. And Nicole was really helpful in chatting with Tom and helping him find his way around the Cincinnati area. So thanks, Nicole. And last but certainly not least, I want to send a big, huge thank you to Jen Spooneroonie Stitcher, because she's darling. When we went to Keepsakes, she was so very helpful and energetic and enthusiastic and all smiles, and very concerned for our Scarlett. She wanted to know where Scarlett was. Did Scarlett need a treat? Did Scarlett need water? I assured her that Scarlett and Tom were in the nice air-conditioned Jeep enjoying their time together, but she asked again, are you sure Scarlett doesn't need water? Is there anything I can get for you guys? And she took the time to go outside and to chat with Tom and Scarlett in the heat. Thank you so, so much for your care and hospitality. Takeaway number 2. Stich-Con was nothing short of an historic event. There were 400 almost lovers of needlework gathered in one place just because they love stitching. It was amazing. It was awe-inspiring. The first evening, as I looked around the room and the room was filled, it was just this amazing gathering of joyful stitchers. It took my breath away. So thank you all. And number 3, takeaway. There was this amazing spirit there. The room was just steeped in the spirit of pure joy and just shiny, happy people everywhere. I don't know how else to describe it. Everyone I talked to had a smile. Everyone that we met up with was happy. People were laughing. People were sharing their love of these little tiny X's on fabric. Such a joyful event and really heartwarming to see. So those were my 3 right off the top takeaways from Stich-Con. Many at Stich-Con, including Barbara and her crew, recognize the just incredible effect of FlossTube on the needlework industry and on the needlework community. It's pretty amazing, and Stich-Con was that effect in action. You know, one of the signs that is there when you come into Stich-Con says, bringing FlossTubers and fans together. And that's a wonderful sentiment, but I really felt like it was more appropriately bringing the needlework community together. Because whether we make videos or we watch videos, we're all FlossTubers. Joining together was pure happiness. So you've seen it, you know, other folks have showed it. There's, excuse me, the bag, right? The Stich-Con bag. It's stunning. It's beautiful. It's big. It's sturdy. It's got little pockets on either side and in the middle. There's Velcro closure. There's even a little pocket in the little pocket. This bag rocks. I love this bag. Inside the bag, as you all know, we got our kind of packet. And this had our itinerary. It had the all the information you would need, not only about Stich-Con, but also surrounding restaurants and activities, attractions, things like that. Also inside were at least 10 free designs that many were exclusive to Stich-Con, created for us. Amazing. So this was a treasure. Also inside, you've seen it, it was the passport. Woo! I'm flinging things everywhere. The passport, which came, the FlossTubers got stars. And what you would do if you were a fan, or even another FlossTuber, you would look in here and there were clues about each of the FlossTubers. So for instance, mine said, which FlossTube channel includes occasional apiary updates? So an apiary is a bee yard. So if someone guessed that that was Flannel Jammy's farm, they would come around to me and say, is this you? And I would say yes, and then I'd put a sticker in that little box. Totally cool way for all of us to go around, meet one another, learn a little bit more about one another. Totally great. All right, then there was the Ohio ornament that has the little heart button near Cincinnati. Love it. Delicious, which I have not eaten yet. I've been holding it on for 2 weeks. I've been holding on to this thing. I'm gonna eat it as soon as I'm done. And this beautiful journal that says Stich-Con, which, you know, I think is really appropriate to become a stitchy journal for either your FlossTube videos or keeping up with your stitching. Totally cool. Great bag full of goodies. So the room. The Sharonville Convention Center was a new venue for Stich-Con. The room is huge. massive room. And with almost 400 people in there, it totally didn't feel crowded. Like there was room to walk around, there was room to mingle, there was not only the tables for all of the stitchers, there were freebie tables at one end, and there was an L-shaped, border of brag tables. We walked in the room, I was with Lynette and little one, and we walked into the room and just kind of looked around like, wow, where do we sit? Just to our right, in the very corner table, there was a lovely lady sitting and stitching all by herself at this table. And so we asked her, do you mind if we sit with you? And she said, no, of course not. You can sit down. Her name is Liz. Hi, Liz. And she was the most patient and charming soul. She was very kind. As people came over to talk to us, as people came to just kind of meet us or take a selfie, as we got up and down to meet other people, she was so sweet and generous about the whole thing, and just stitched the whole weekend and took it all in. It was great. But the cool thing was we were in a table where we could see the entire room, and the brag tables were behind us, so we had a little buffer of a sound barrier. So at the table was Liz, and then me, and then Linda Green, Blue Horse Yellow Cow, Lynette Lepper, Homesteading on the Homefront, and Little One from Homesteading on the Homefront. Then it was Linda Spalding was there, and Lorraine from Rags and Stitches. And so we had just this great table, just wonderful camaraderie and laughter and smiles, and it was great. It was so great. Also in that room, we talked about the brag tables behind us. Amazing pieces of stitchery, just amazing. I did not shoot a video of that. I do have a couple of photos that I'll show you. There were 3 chairs set up in memoriam. 3 stitchers who had registered for Stich-Con had passed away in the last year, and the organizers had set up 3 chairs with a tiny stitched heart and the name of the stitcher in the chair, just so that we could remember them and their love of needlework. Very touching. There were announcements. There was the Smalls Exchange. I didn't participate in the Smalls Exchange, but the Smalls were so beautiful, so thoughtful, amazingly finished. They were great. And then there was the Needleminder Exchange. So you had seen previously, I showed you the needle minders that I had made to take with me to Stich-Con. Well, I had traded a few, but then Little One became the Pied Piper. Little One had a great strategy. She would just go around with her needle minders table to table and kind of say, oh, do you have needle minders to trade? So I decided that I would tag along with Little One. I joined up with her, and she was the spotter because she had no needle minders left at that point, and she was the spotter, and she'd say, ooh, needle minders at that table, and we would go to that table. And we picked up 1 or 2 others along the way who kind of joined us. Little One Pied Piper, and we following her, going table to table, and here's the result. So these are the needle minders that I received and some of the cards that I received. And let me show you what I got from the freebie table. I got from Shakespeare's Peddler for Anne, Pin Keep and Scissor Fob. I got from Raise the Roof, March's Angel. I got, oh gosh, I love this, Summer House Stitchworks Reality Check. And this one is Tokens and Trifles, A Single Rose So Sweet which I thought might make a tiny little brooch. So I'm going to think about that. I got a couple of Cross Stitch and Country Crafts magazines. I stood there, I was terrible. So I didn't bring cross stitch stuff for the freebie table. I brought tomatoes and cucumbers from Flannel Jammy's farm, which some people enjoyed with their lunch, and I'm so glad they did. But I stood there kind of looking through each of the issues that were on the table until I found the two that I wanted. Sorry, everybody. So I got those. And then this one didn't even make it to the freebie table because I saw it being ready to be put there, and I said, oh, I've always wanted that book and I never ordered it. Please, 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 may I have it? And the answer was yes. I love this book. It's so beautiful. Slow Stitch. I mean, it's so beautiful. Stunning. So those were my freebies. Woohoo! Now, then that was the room where we all gathered. Then there was the annex, which was a beautiful kind of long meeting space that had been turned into a shop. And it had trunk shows and trunk shows and trunk shows galore. There were lots of souvenir and branded items from Stich-Con 2019. I got the Stitchy Bus t-shirt. Yes, this year the Stich-Con organizers rolled out their own Stitchy Bus. It's a converted school bus that was used to shuttle folks back and forth between conference center and hotels and keepsakes. It was awesome. The Stitchy Bus rocked. So I stayed at the Hyatt, which was attached to the conference center by a long hallway, which was great because I didn't have to go out in the heat. I didn't have to drive to the venue for the retreat. It was wonderful. The rooms were very, very comfortable. The beds were very comfortable. It was very clean. The staff was incredibly accommodating. There was room in the lobby for people to just kind of gather and chat and stitch. There was breakfast area and afternoon snack and coffee area. And there were folks, when the stitch room closed down at 10 o'clock, maybe they weren't going to late night stitching over at the La Quinta, but they just kind of gathered in the lobby for a little while. The Hyatt was wonderful. Fancy Friday stitching. So Donna of Stitching and Doodah and Shauna put out this idea of Fancy Friday stitching on the Stich-Con Facebook group. And it was kind of like, anybody that wants to join us, fine. It's not a Stich-Con sponsored event, but if you'd like to do some fancy dress stitching, Friday at 5 o'clock, come on down. So I thought, well, I think I'm going to participate in that. I really love Shauna and Donna. I want to hang out with them for just a short time. And so I went to the thrift store with my friend. I picked out 2 dresses and arrived at 5 o'clock on Friday. And Lynette was in this beautiful red ball gown. Little one was the star of the show. She was in this beautiful dress that her mom had found. Abby Top Knot Stitcher had this gorgeous dress that she'd found, but also at the thrift store she'd found this hooded furry thing, and so she'd put that on and then bam, reveal the fancy dress. It was wonderful. Wonderful. Shauna and Donna, I don't know how they got their dresses into their luggage. It seems like they would have needed their own plane because they were just poofy and wonderful. Several other folks had on sequins, and of course McKenna had on a sequin jumpsuit that was that was really snazzy. So what a great time. I spent about 15 minutes with folks, and then that was all I could handle of sequins and high heels. So also on Friday, Tom and I and several others decided that we were going to go out to lunch at a brewery. And so we went to Mount Carmel Brewing. It was like, I want to say 15, 20 minutes away. Who knows? I wasn't driving. So it was Tom and I and Kyle and Kyle Stitching and Sound, Linda Blue Horse Yellow Cow, and Jen Quirks and Stitches, and her mom. Oh, our mom Cindy, I love so much. Anyway, enough of that. We all went to this brewery, and we pull up and it's very fancy. Like, it's really, it looks nice. It's a great building. There's a lovely lake out back. The grounds are beautiful. We look at the beers, we look at the lunch menu, and the lunch is very upscale. And so we got a delicious lunch. Tom and I shared a flight of beer, and we shared lots of fun with the folks who were there. I so enjoyed spending time with Jen and her mom. I wish that we lived closer, because I think we would probably be best friends, stitchy buddies. So that was really, really a treat for me.
Some of us stitchers have escaped, and we are at a local brewery called Mount Carmel. So those of you locals in Cincinnati, we're going to try it. So yep, we are having a brew and eating lunch.
So anyway, when I was trying to think of what to do.
And watching Deb of
evening, Friday evening, we decided we'd go to another brewery. So we went to Dogberry, which was a little closer and much more casual. Good beers. I had a really nice brown ale, and it was the same crew as at lunch, but we added Linda's husband, Randy, and we added Leslie, Under the Sea Fabrics, and her friend, Carrie.
Okay, I'll let my sister know another brother who's going to do Ryan Guys.
And you are?
And this is concerning.
The interesting thing about Dogberry is that they were not serving food that evening. They had no food trucks on site. It was kind of bring your own food. Okay, so we all kind of either had or downloaded the DoorDash app, and Tom and I ordered in P.F. Chang's, which was great, and several other people got whatever they wanted. I think Jen's food was really, really spicy, if I remember correctly. And we just had great conversation and time relaxing and enjoying our beers. It was wonderful. Tom took Scarlett one day while I was stitching. I had Scarlett with me pretty close the first day because I really wasn't sure how my anxiety was going to shake out with all those people and new situation. And so she was pretty close to me the first day. The second day I felt more assured, particularly because one of my dear friends from here, Kay Killian, she is, it's coming to me, she is Dragon Mother of Two on Instagram. Kay also is in the medical profession, and she took really good care of me. She checked on me several times during each day, and it was such a comfort not only to me but to Tom. He felt comfortable in leaving me there in good hands, and I was able to maneuver the retreat without having Scarlett right beside me. So that was great. So Scarlett got to have a special outing. Tom took her to Sharon Woods, which is a park kind of right across from Keepsakes. It's not far from Keepsakes at all. And it's, I have the information here. It's 730-acre park. It features play areas, trails, a lake, shelters, golf course, boating, fishing, gift shop. And they also have a recreated 1800s community called the Heritage Village Museum. So they had a great time. Like, they walked and hiked and enjoyed the lake, and oh, wow, I would have loved to have gone back there. We just didn't have the time. So Tom also took Linda and Kyle and me to Keepsakes. As we were coming back from Mount Carmel Brewery, we were all in the car together, and Tom said, "Would you like to stop at Keepsakes?" Why, yes, thank you very much, we would. So at Keepsakes, I'll just go through this. I got, may I a small house and a large garden have, which totally depicts my life, a very tiny house and gardens everywhere. So I purchased that at Keepsakes. I purchased from Lindy Stitches, this is her new one, a stitch for sweet freedom and one for being kind, two more for diversity, and the last for a humble mind. This chart is so beautiful. I'm not really a people person, so I may not do the facial features on the person, but I fell in love with this skirt and the saying. So I got this. Thank you, Stephanie. That's a great design. I got La-Di-Da Right Spirit, which is one that I've loved. And, you know, I have this thing for crows and ravens. It's crazy. So I got the Work Basket Quaker Crow, which I don't think I've ever seen before, but wow, what a beautiful crow. Looking forward to that one. And then, as you walk around Keepsakes, not only is everyone incredibly helpful, and not only are they fun to be around, but all through the shop there are these freebie charts just kind of laying about everywhere for you to pick up and take home and stitch, and I can't tell you how many I picked up. Wow, thank you so much, Barbara, for just leaving those little treasures around for us to find and take home. Let me tell you about Stitchy Friends. There are no words, really. I cannot effectively communicate to you what it was like to meet my virtual friends in person and to be stitched together forever in friendship. There are people that I have watched. There are people that I've admired. Oh, Marlene. I told Marlene this. One of the highlights of the entire event for me was meeting Marlene stitching by the lake and sitting and just holding her hand for a minute. Yeah. But there were so many friends who either introduced themselves to me, and I thank you so much. It meant the world to me that you came and talked to me, or that I introduced myself to, and I hope those that I did were not overwhelmed by me just rushing up and saying hello. Friends who let me interrupt conversations to just say hello or snap a picture, particularly Debbie from Snug Harbor Crafts and Steph from Pam and Steph. They were talking on the stairway. This was kind of Debbie's office. So every time you turned around, there was a stairway right outside the stitching room. And every time I turned around, Debbie was sitting on that stairway talking to someone. And so I walked out of the room in my gold dress, and I thought, those two people, I need to get my photo with them. And so I walked up and just interrupted, and God bless them both. They were so sweet about it. They were like, of course, let's take a picture. And then a couple of other people took our picture, and it was just a sweet moment. So I thank you for letting me interrupt you if I did. Stitchy friends, 390 some. Woohoo! I told you that I had taken with me, had to reach, from Artist Designs. Amanda May designed this book, My Stitching Friends, and it's a dress book, but with lots of really pertinent information for people to fill out. Yeah, I finally thought to start using this on Sunday. So I have, I don't know, I have a lot, but not as many as I wish I had had. But I did get the opportunity to show this to several people. I know that Shauna got one from Stitching and Doodah, and I know that Barbara was really interested in it from Keepsakes and took down the information. So I highly recommend this little book. It's going to kind of be mine forever now, that I take to all of my stitching events to get information for my new stitchy friends as I meet them. So again, I really recommend this. Artist Designs, My Stitching Friends. Okay. Many of the folks who came to Stich-Con and that I met brought me gifts or brought gifts for the attendees. So the first one was Stephanie, Lindy Stitches, gave us this adorable turtle chart, and it's called Turtly Lovable. I'm dead. It's the cutest little thing, and you can make it into this little scissor fob. So thank you, Stephanie. I went to, if you went to Leslie and met her at Under the Sea Fabrics, she gave you a little chip, and the color determined your grab bag. So I got the grab bag with her magnet and the chart, Feeling Stabby. It's got a narwhal on it. And I got the corner gauge that's imprinted with the Under the Sea Fabrics logo and website. So that was great. Little one blessed my heart. I love little one. And eldest, please next time come. I missed you. All right, little one stitched for me this tiny little needle minder. It's a stitched needle minder with a little bee and a little heart and a little bee trail. It's the best thing ever. I love it so much. Thank you, JoJo. Okay. I know, it was the cutest thing, and I think she's going to be stitching up other stitched needle minders for future events. So watch out for little one. All right, Sharon, who's at Verbals on Instagram, made me this handmade dishcloth. Look at the colors in this. It's so soft and it's so wonderful, and she didn't know this, but these are my favorite dishcloths ever. So Sharon, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Karen Macon came around and gave me some of these beautiful little clips. Oh my gosh, they're so cute and colorful. So Karen, thank you. Debbie came around. She was giving folks, oh my gosh, this was the most thoughtful thing and so useful. So she gave folks a few floss away bags and a ring, and then she had made these tags. And on the back, they say project, designer, fabric, threads, start and finish. And there were all different prints on the fronts of the tags, so you could choose. Smart. Such a smart and thoughtful and practical gift. Thank you, Debbie. So Linda, Blue Horse Yellow Cow, who was kind of my sidekick during the weekend, We had never met in person and had talked a lot online. I love Linda. She also was one of the National Gnome Day Gnomies. She's one of my Gnomies. And she went to Keepsakes. She and I and Kyle were dropped off at Keepsakes by Tom, and she picked up for each of us these beautiful thread keeps. It's a bee skep with a beautiful bee, and it says Keepsakes as a memento of our time together. Linda, thank you. So beautiful, and I'm going to put this to good use because I have just the project for it to go in. Thank you. All right, Lorraine Rags to Stitches USA, who is sitting at my table, gave me this beautiful coaster. Isn't it fabulous? Welcome butterflies, birds, bugs, and bees. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my gosh, I love it. Thank you, Lorraine. Lorraine was a treat. I was so happy to meet her in person. We've been talking for a long time too, and it was precious to spend that time with her at the same table. So a lovely lady tapped me on the shoulder and introduced herself and said that she had a gift for me. And here it is. What do you think of this? Oh my gosh. Kind words are like a honeycomb. And this is one of my favorite Bible verses. It's Proverbs 16:24. I have this verse hanging in my enrichment space where I teach kindergarten through second graders at church. And so this is beautiful, such a beautiful plaque. And on the back she's got Patricia A. Williams, the Frugal Cross Stitcher, and her email address so that I can contact her. Is this not, I mean, so this now hangs, my art room is right over there. This now hangs in my art room, and I had to take it down to bring it out here because I love it so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Kay. So Kay had stitched Queen Bee, and it was stunning. I absolutely loved it, and I said to her, I absolutely love it. So she is going to let me stitch it, and she came along and said, just here are some of the threads and the beautiful metallics and things that I used for the chart. What a generous spirit. Thank you, Kay. She also, okay, here's the biggie. Kay also was at the freebie table, and I take it out of the plastic. She didn't know this, but for a long time this was a big time unicorn chart for me. And she picked this up off the freebie table. I can't believe it was on the freebie table. I'm blown away that it was on the freebie table. The Good Huswife, the Bee Man's Garden. I'm speechless that it was there. And she said, this made me think of you, and so I picked this up for you. And I'm sure I didn't say enough at the time, but this is such a treasure. So thank you, Kay, for thinking of me. And thank you for taking extra good care of me during the weekend. It really meant a lot to Tom and to me, of course. And I will see you very soon because the Virginia Stitchers are meeting up this Friday. Woohoo! Did I mention that it's Saturday, July 13th? It's been 2 weeks since Stich-Con. So, all right. Oh my gosh. So Ginger, you will know her as Graceful with 2 L's Stitcher on Instagram and here on YouTube, and she's such a beautiful lady. And I met her in person at the Dying to Stitch retreat in the spring, and she started her YouTube channel, and it's so lovely. And she's a beautiful woman inside and out. And so she came and she gave me a bag full of goodies and the most lovely card, and then also in the bag, what's this? That she stitched and finished I mean, look at this finish. And then look here on the back. And so she's got her little tag with her initials and the year. Look at, I mean, just every little detail is, and there's a fabric bow and a twine bow and a little button and little thread, and I want to be Ginger when I grow up. I want to finish like this when I'm a grown-up. So Ginger, this meant the world to me. And National Honeybee Day is coming up in August, and I'm going to do a special video with lots of bee things, and this will be included. Thank you so much, Ginger. Woo. Oh my goodness. Okay, and then I only have 2 more to go. I know. And I only do this because people gave of themselves to me, and I want to thank them in a very public way because it meant so much to me, truly. Jen, Crooks and Stitches, and her mom, Cindy. Oh my gosh. So her mom is Lee's Sin, so Leescin on Instagram. So Jen made me this project bag. It matches my gnome hat. I can't believe it. It's so fabulous. Look at these gnomies on here. They're precious. And the inside fabric is mushrooms. And it matches my gnomie hat. It's the perfect pink. It matches perfectly. I'm going to sit and stitch with my gnomie hat on and use this project bag because it's perfect. Thank you, Jen. But inside the bag, this is adorable. Inside the bag, Cindy had stitched something for me that she said was especially for my little Woodsies critter house. It's a tiny little sampler for my Woodsies critter house. Oh my gosh, isn't it everything? It's just everything. And it says buzz, 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 little bee skepp. And it fits perfectly on the wall of my critter house. I had to take it down to show you because I couldn't wait to put it in there. I had some friends over for my birthday, and we played with the little critters, and they got me a couple of new critters for my critter house. Oh my gosh, this is so perfect in there. So thank you, ladies, so, so, so much. And last, absolutely not least, I met a friend that I've had for a long time online, and I met her in person, and I kind of didn't want to let go of her. I kind of wanted to just hug her and hold her. It's Marissa from Twall and Knot, and I actually got to speak to her mom on the phone, which was great. Oh my gosh, her mom is a doll. I love her, and I really want them to come for a visit here. Her mom is interested in some things here in Virginia Beach, and I want the 2 ladies to come and visit with us and have just a great weekend together. And so I hope you ladies do that. That would mean the world to me. But Marissa gave me something that I can pet. A Dutch Beauty. A Dutch Beauty. I will do this if it takes my entire life. This thing is phenomenal. And she was so funny. She's like, well, you can just kind of look at it and touch it. Like, no, if I do one motif at a time, I am going to do this. It is truly phenomenal. Dutch Beauty. As if that wasn't enough, she gave me flosses wrapped in a beautifully stitched piece. Marissa, this is a treasure. This is a treasure. It's a treasure. I can't even tell you. So many thank yous. So much gratitude. You have enriched my life more than I can say. So thank you. So one last observation from me about Stich-Con. There was no stitching at Stich-Con. I brought 5 projects, 6, 5. Anyway, I brought a bunch of projects and had them all kitted up and ready to go. And every time I started to stitch, I either saw someone that I needed to talk to, or someone came over to talk to me, or someone wanted a photo, or we were getting ready to go somewhere, or there was something to look at. And so one of the projects that I took was Honeybee from Blackbird Designs. And I thought, this is a fairly easy project. And so I'll just take that, and it's smallish. It's not like a huge one. And I'll start with that. This will be the first project I'll stitch on. Okay. This is the sum total of the stitching I got done at Stich-Con. No, wait. Really, that is the sum total of the stitching that I got done at Stich-Con. It's embarrassing, right? It's embarrassing. Liz at our table got so much stitching done. Like, she was a stitching machine. It was awesome. Little one, I think, had 2 finishes at Stich-Con. Lynette had the best possible strategy. So Lynette, who often has the best possible strategies, Lynette, homesteading on the home front, would take her stitched piece, and I think this was Saturday. I think it was Saturday. She would take her stitched piece and a length of thread, and she would go to a table, not ours, another table, and she would just sit down in an empty chair, and she would stitch on that piece with that one length of thread and talk with all the people at that table until either the chair owner came back or until that thread length was done. And then she would say, "It's been so great chatting with you," and she would get up, she would get another length of thread, and she would move to another table and do the same process again. And doing that, Lynette met and talked with, meaningful conversation with, so many people, and got stitching done too. Like, it's beyond my, it's beyond me. Great strategy, and I think it's something we can all employ at future events, because that was very well thought out. But I wish I had met more people, had real conversation with more people, and taken those photos to remember the moment with more people. If we didn't get to meet up, if we didn't get to chat, just reach out and we'll have our virtual friendship stitched together, and that'll be great. I won't be going to Stich-Con next year. In 2020, I want to see my friend Paulette, who's coming to Dying to Stitch for their spring retreat. So I hope I get into that retreat, because it would be lovely to see Paulette again and see what beautiful creation she's bringing our way. I also want to go to at least one frugal retreat. You know, Lynette, homesteading on the home front. Man, I'm talking about you a lot today, Lynette. I hope your ears aren't burning. She did last year a frugal Yankee retreat. Well, she's talking about a couple of other frugal retreats for 2020, and I want to go to at least one. So those are kind of my plans for 2020. 2020, I think, is going to be pretty full. I have some other things going on, and so I know that there will be some travel and lots of things. So we'll just have to see how it shakes out. But I know I won't make it back to Stich-Con next year. I do know that those of you that do go will have the very best time. I also know that if you are thinking about going or thinking about getting on the waiting list, do it. So go ahead and register. Take the trip. I knew that this trip was going to be difficult, but my husband was encouraging and went with me and supported me and we went. We took the trip, and I am so glad we did. Meet the people, meet all the people, even if you're an introvert. We talked about introverts a lot at the retreat, but even if you're an introvert, meet people, because they love this handwork just as much as you do. And so there's that common bond and joy together. Smile till your face is frozen. Laugh until your belly hurts. Hug until your arms feel like rubber. And enjoy the stitchy life to its fullest. More photos are coming here at the end, so I want you to stay tuned until the end. Thank you for bearing with me through this little Stich-Con chat. Again, I'll be back with a regular FlossTube video showing my slothful stitching next time. And remember, friends, to be the grace and the kindness that you want to see in our world.
And you are?
This is concerning. Are you filming me? Can you just go small now?
So y'all, here we are at Stich-Con 2019. It's Friday morning. We had our opening and welcome last night. This is the brag table. We're sitting in the corner table right in front of the brag table. And look at all of these stitchers. Happy, chatty, excited, creative, amazing needle people.
And here's the thing, I've never had my picture in front of a keepsake. Never. So
If I just say the words, is that enough to make them true? If I just say